Welcome to the channel, folks. Mr. H here for a review of The Headhunter. Now, this film caught my eye a couple weeks back, in fact, and it's released direct to video, so it's not going to be on theatres or anything along those lines, and it's a very, very short movie. It comes in just over an hour, about an hour of total actual film time, but this is definitely one to watch. Genuinely one to watch. So we'll discuss non-spoilers first, then we'll get into spoilers. But if you haven't seen it, go take a look at the trailer. The trailer kind of gives you a really good feel for what this film is all about. So it's directed by Jordan Downey. He actually did part of the screenplay along with Kevin Stewart, and those are two of the main producers along with Ricky Fosheim. Now, the main actor is Christopher Rygh. He's the leading actor and pretty much the only person we see during this entire film. Now, just to discuss kind of non-spoilers and why I liked this film so much. It's not perfect by any means, just as a heads up. Pun intended, obviously, The Headhunter. But Christopher Rygh brings a fierce intensity to this role. I'm not familiar with Christopher Rygh in anything. I've not seen him in anything. But in this, he portrays a silent, stoic father who is obviously grieving the loss of his daughter. And he really does bring an incredible level of intensity to this film, which is truly captivating. Because we follow just this one man for essentially an hour, the lead actor for this film had to be engaging and really had to bring a silent level of charisma. And this chap's performance is just astounding. And I say that for multiple reasons. Like, the main reason is just to have a singular person for an entirety of a film is really, really hard on that lead actor. To be interacting with essentially nothing, but to be engaging and also bring the audience in and draw them into your story does have to be portrayed by someone with a certain level of skill. And I really liked this. I thought Christopher Rygh did an absolutely fantastic job. But like I say, it's not perfect by any means at all. So just to kind of list the main pros to this film. Because for the first 40 minutes or so, this film is fantastic. It really, really is fantastic. It does fall apart in the last 20 minutes, but we'll get to that. And it's not really the film's fault, it's the budget of the film. That's where it starts to fall apart. It's really just a budgetary issue. And this is a small budget. It's direct to video, it's video on demand, it's a streaming movie. But outside of its budgetary restrictions, it's a great film. So, main pros to this film is just the way it's shot. So, obviously we are following this one man, Christopher Rygh, his character, father he's called. He's grieving the loss of his daughter. Many moons ago, she died. A beast, a monster, killed her. And he is now, or was anyway, a monster hunter. He hunts monsters for a kingdom. And he puts the monster heads on his wall. Now, again, because we're just following this one man, the way this is shot has to be done in a way for you to be drawn in, and it really, really is. So, in terms of its framing, you wouldn't know that it is a incredibly low budget movie. You just wouldn't. The way Jordan Downey frames this film is fantastic. We have some very, very close up, very claustrophobic and intimate shots with Father, Christopher Rygh's character. But it's the way it's framed and the way it's lit, which is so good and so out of the norm for a low budget movie. Jordan Downey brings a almost high budget feel to this very intimate low budget movie. In terms of its cinematography, there are some really, really beautiful shots. Obviously, we are in the wilderness for the majority of this time. We're watching Christopher Rygh's father go about his business. There's a certain element of supernatural stuff going on with this film. We can see him patting himself with his green substance, which I'll get to in spoilers, but it's pretty important. And it's really, really, really quite well shot. Framing is great, the lighting is great. The one detractor to this film, and it didn't need to be there, and this is where hopefully Jordan Downey will learn in the edit bay, is don't do quite so many fade outs. This film has some really long, drawn scene transitions which are just fade outs, and they really do let the film down. They really, really let the film down. I'll put a few on the screen now, hopefully you can kind of see what I mean. But these are amateurish at best. Jordan Downey's not an amateur filmmaker. He does have some other sort of low-budget B-movie flicks on his belt. But these really do give you a feel of cheap, tacky crap. And that's just being ultra harsh. But to me, as a film reviewer and a movie critic, that really did let it down. Especially when you have such great shots, such as the ones which I'm showing on the screen now. These really close-up, intimate shots where you can really feel for this character. To have such drawn fade-outs were such a shame. The sound design is great for the most part, but again, I feel maybe it was a budgetary restriction that, you know, in parts it just lets itself down. But all in all, it was great. And for the first 40 minutes, I was truly captivated, but then the last 20 minutes really did let it down with some very, very strange shots here and there. And again, it's not really the film's fault, it's more of a budgetary issue. So, can I recommend this film? Yes. Is it worth the money to pay for it? Yes, and I actually think you should pay for this film. It's on iTunes now. I believe it's on Google Play as well. Most places you can download and pay for all of your streaming services. I think you should buy this. You know, inevitably you could probably download this, you know, illegally and things like that. But this is a film which I think you should actually support. And I don't think you begrudge it either. However, that being said, there's not much else I can say in terms of the non-spoilers. It's good for 40 minutes of the film. It's fantastic. But then the last 20 minutes do let it down. So, we'll touch on that now, shall we? Let's go into the spoiler section to this movie review. So, spoiler warning, spoilers. Now, as I was watching this film, I did get a feel that maybe there weren't really monsters going on in and around this film. I thought maybe there would just be creatures, and because it's medieval, there would be kind of blown out myths and things like that. But there were. They were actually monsters. And I liked that because for the first, you know, X, Y, and Z amount of minutes, I was genuinely thinking it could go either way. And I liked the fact that there were monsters. Now, in terms of the story, there is a monster that killed his daughter years ago. Now, the Headhunters kind of play on words because the monster itself seems to be a monster that can take control of bodies. So it's just the head, and it can take control of bodies. So it really is let down by its budget, because with a better budget, they could have depicted this monster in a much, much better way. But that being said, for the budget that they had, which was inevitably going to be very, very small, and for what they managed to achieve, it's great. It really, really is. But it is that last 20 minutes or so where they kind of shit themselves, I guess you could say. There's just some weird shots, some zoom-in shots on Christopher Rygh's character, which were a little bit cheesy, a little bit offhand, and just quite off-putting, to be perfectly honest. And it didn't really match the first 40 minutes. The cinematography seemed to just change, and the direction seemed to just change. If I didn't know any better, I would say that the last 20 minutes were filmed by someone completely different than the first 40 minutes. And that's a shame. I mean, seldom do movies look like that, but I would genuinely say that the last 20 minutes could have been shot by someone completely different. And that's not good, but again, the first 40 minutes genuinely stands up for it. It makes you go, no, actually, I do like this film. So in terms of the full spoilers, look, Christopher Rygh's character dies at the end, but it's almost a bittersweet moment because he's obviously, well, he believes anyway, that he has avenged his daughter's death. He has slain the monster twice, unfortunately, because it does come back to life due to the green substance that he uses to heal himself. So it's a bittersweet moment because he obviously believes that he has avenged his daughter's death, and you don't see it, it's off camera, and thank God it's off camera because obviously the budget just wouldn't have allowed for it, but the monster comes back and it takes Christopher Rygh's body, the Headhunter. Again, it's kind of play on words. And then we see Christopher Rygh's head jammed on a spike in his house. And again, like I say, it's just due to budget which lets this movie down. It's a really good film, and I can wholeheartedly recommend it. You know, Christopher Rygh, I want to see in more things. He almost reminded me of Michael Shannon from, say, Man of Steel. Obviously, he's been in quite a few movies, but that's the first one which stands out to me. He actually reminded me of Michael Shannon with the intensity in his performance. And Michael Shannon's a fantastic actor, so to be compared to Michael Shannon is genuinely high praise. And Christopher Rygh carries this. He absolutely carries this film. And again, budgetary restrictions to one side, I would watch it just for Christopher Rygh's performance. A lot of people have compared this to The Predator. Well, the original Predator. It's absolutely nothing like Predator. Not even remotely. I would not compare the two. It's a completely different beast, pun intended. But again, it's just those final 20 minutes that lets itself down. It seems to be shot by someone completely different. They almost lose their sense of direction, which they established in the first 40 minutes or so. But go out and support this movie. Really, go and support this movie. It's an hour long. It's very inexpensive. So go and support it and show these people that you want to see more movies like this, because I think it's worth it. And if you have seen it, I would genuinely be interested to hear what you think. Did you get the same feel that the last 20 minutes or so was shot by someone different? Or did you not get that at all? I would genuinely like to know. So anyway guys, that's it for me here. Please do let me know your thoughts down below in the comment section. And if you are new here, please do hit subscribe. And to stay up to date on the world of pop culture, movie news and movie reviews, smash that bell notification icon. As always guys, thank you so much for watching. If you like this video, please do give it a like and a share. I'm Mr. H. Take care.